Question. Do you want to lose half your money in retirement? I'm sure you do. No, of course not. I'm guessing no, right? In this video, I'm going to answer the question, should I convert an IRA to a Roth IRA after my retirement? And I'll show you why not knowing the right answer to this question is going to cost you half of your retirement income. So stay until the end and I'll teach you how to make your money last. All right, so let's first define what are the difference between IRAs and Roth IRAs. Besides the fact that there's Roth, it doesn't mean it's David Lee Roth. I'm not talking about the old Van Halen, right? I'm talking about the difference is simply a slight change in tax code. So it's simply this. An IRA, when you put the money in, is a tax deduction. Not a tax write-off, it's a tax deduction. You put it in with pre-tax dollars, just like you would with a 401k, right? You put the money in, it doesn't get taxed, it grows tax deferred, but then when you take it out, it gets taxed at that point, whenever you're in retirement. The Roth is different. The Roth you put in with after-tax dollars. So after you've already paid, got your paycheck that you've had come in, the Roth, then you can fund that with your after-tax money. It grows tax deferred, and then it comes out tax-free. So the real question you have to ask is, well, do I want to pay my taxes on the seed, on the early years, on the little amount of money I'm putting in, or on the harvest, which is the large amount of money coming in? And there's a big debate between both. Some people will say, well, I'd rather pay on the harvest because I can just delay it until later and maybe I'll be in a lower tax bracket. I remember my very first corporate job, the HR, the human resources representative, which of course gotta be a financial expert, right? I'm being very sarcastic if you couldn't tell at this point. She was saying, well, when you get older, you don't need as much money as you do when you're younger because, you don't have any kids anymore and you really don't do anything because you're old. And so you really don't need money. So you're really in a lower tax bracket when you're older. And of course, all the older people, and I mean older meaning like anybody over the age of 40 was like, this woman's an idiot, right? And that's true. Yeah, so that's the other point, which is, okay, if I pay my taxes now, then at least I won't have to pay them in the future. So why not use after-tax dollars? And there's a good point to that. There's a good debate. The truth is though, is that, either way, there are some limitations. For example, in both scenarios, you're supposed to wait until you're 59 and a half. Really, I don't know why they picked the age, half. I don't know, that's what politicians do because they feel like they have to justify their pay. So they want to put 59.5 as your age when you can finally touch your money without a 10% penalty. I'll say 60. So if you want to touch your money before the age of 60, guess what? You're gonna have a 10% penalty. And if it's in an IRA, you're also gonna get taxed on the money. And there's also ways you can even get taxed on your Roth too, which could absolutely stink. So when I said you don't want to end up paying half of your money to taxes, that's a big one right there because if you put your money into an IRA, just a simple traditional IRA, and then you try to pull the money out before you're 59 and a half, guess what? You have a 10% penalty plus income taxes on that. Depending on what your tax bracket is, the higher the bracket, the more you pay. For some of our clients, that would be literally half of their money. And if you're in the state of California, it's like literally half of your children and your money. Because it sucks to live in California, right? So we don't want to have that kind of issue coming up. So you have to be very careful about that. Also, you can only invest in certain things, but usually when people buy them, they buy them from a financial advisor or they get them through work or something like that. And of course, that's what they do. But usually if you're talking about IRAs or Roth IRAs, you're buying it through a financial advisor or some financial institution where your only option is really just to buy and use mutual funds. So just be aware of that. Here's another point that most people don't realize. When you reach the age of 72, now you might get to the point where maybe you have enough money coming in from, if you listen to this show long enough or watch what we talk about and you actually implement it, you may not even need the IRAs or Roth IRAs because you'll have enough passive income coming in to take care of yourself and all your needs. But guess what? Again, the government, if they give you all this tax deferral, they still want to get their taxes at some point. So they also put another rule. So 59 and a half is one rule where you can't access it too early or you get a 10% penalty. But on the other side, when you're age 72, if you don't take out the minimum required distribution at that age, and they have a certain percentage of your money that you have to take out every year, if you don't take it out, they will charge you a 50, as in 50, one half, the 50% tax on the money you should have taken out in the first place. So there'll be a 50% penalty on the money you should have withdrawn if you didn't withdraw at all. That sucks. Right? That's horrible. We don't want to ever be in that situation. So just know you have this little window between 59 and a half and 72 you got to jump through all their hoops, right? So that's the major thing, is that there are taxes, and when you do get taxed, it's income tax. So it's the highest tax you could possibly receive. Now, what most people don't realize is that there's another option with your IRA. Now, what you can do is what they refer to as a self-directed IRA. Self-directed, if you kind of just look at the words, means that you can direct it yourself. You can invest it wherever you want. Now, there are a few restrictions. There are a few places you can't invest IRA money, like you can't buy wine with it. Some people like to have their wine collection. Sorry, you can't do that. Artwork, not so much. But you can use your IRA money to invest in almost anything else. You could even go and buy a franchise with it. So if you've always wanted that Krispy Kreme, voila, you can get that Krispy Kreme, right? Now, by the way, when I talk about franchises, it doesn't always have to be a restaurant, okay? Restaurants are one thing, but there's lots of different types of businesses you can buy using your IRA. I've even had clients that have financed their own business. Now, you can't move your money in a self-directed IRA and finance your own business per se, but I've had people say, you know what? I'll take the 10% penalty for taking out early, but if I use this money as a seed money to start my own business, yeah, I get taxed on that money, but guess what? I also get a write-off on that money. So I can actually, cross out, cancel out those taxes and just have the 10% penalty. So that's true, you could do that. But the cool thing is you can self-direct your IRA to invest however you want. Now the rules still apply. There's still the 59.5 rule. There's still the 72 rule. You still gotta do all those things. And that could be a lot, especially where, planning is concerned. But just know if you have the right strategy and the right planning, it can work out well. I'll give you an example. I had somebody who just recently, they're saying, okay, we've got $400,000 in these IRAs. What do we do with it? How can we use it? Now, we debate about doing a Roth conversion or not, because the big thing you have to ask yourself is, if you do a Roth conversion from that IRA, even if you don't have to worry about the 10% penalty, because you can move it over without that, the thing is you will have to pay income taxes at that point. So we have to do a little strategic planning here, is how do we make sure we don't get killed in taxes if you make that conversion. You can convert right over to that Roth IRA, just know you will pay taxes. Any of that money you transfer over counts as income. So a great time to do it with one of my clients was when, during 2020, he got laid off. He got laid off with the pandemic and everything. I said, this is your year. One, because they gave us some extra bonuses in 2020 to get access to that money. But two, we can move that money over. It counts as income because he's not earning any income. So he's in a lower bracket. So we're able to move that over, turn it into a Roth, and then he can invest that. I had another client, same kind of situation, but they weren't getting laid off, but they were wondering if they should do the conversion. We looked at it, we said, well, we can make that conversion work, but let's just do it over a couple years. So we ended up breaking up over a few years, minimizing the taxes, and then we were able to make that Roth conversion. Now she self-directs that Roth IRA to invest in other things. She might be lending it to investors to be able to make more money with it. So they might pay her 10, 11, or 12% on that money, and she's able to make that money earn and grow tax-free, and then she can get that money tax-free. She can also do other things where she puts it into like an apartment building, and she was able to invest money there. She even did some stuff with some oil and gas. We were able to make money there. The cool thing is there's even some tax advantages with oil and gas. So she's able to use that too. So there's a lot of cool things we could do with it. And I'll tell you, I've had several clients where they decided they didn't want to do either. They said, you know what, I have IRA money, I can convert to a Roth, but what if I just cashed it out? What if I did take the 10% penalty and I pay taxes, but now I have full control of my money, I can invest wherever I want. Usually when we've done that, we say, well, let's invest in things that you can get good tax advantages, like real estate. Know that when I buy real estate properties, and even if we get the turnkey real estate properties where you don't manage the property, there's a property manager doing all the work for you. In those situations, we can depreciate, what's called depreciate the property, because the building on that property actually gets cheaper. It's only the land that appreciates when you talk about values going up, but the property gets cheaper. So what do? Is we start depreciating that. And that depreciation offsets all of the income tax that we would have paid on that money. And even if we do pay money, it's a lower tax bracket than a typical income tax anyways. But in many cases, a lot of our clients don't pay any money in taxes. They totally take that money tax-free. So the cool thing is they don't have all the dumb rules of, okay, am I 59 and a half years old or not? I can't remember because I'm so old. I can't even count birthdays anymore. Or 72, oh shoot, how much am I supposed to take out this year? I don't remember what it is. You don't have to worry about all that stuff because you're able to get out of those dumb plans and be able to have the rules working for you. So the choice is really up to you. So like I said, you can have a Roth, you're gonna have an IRA, you can convert to a Roth, and it might make sense. It might not. It depends on your situation, depends on your tax situation that you have and what your goals are. Now, if you want to retire before the age of 60, none of these might be a good option. You may not want to deal with these. You might want to say, let's get the money out and use it in my own power. And no matter what you pick, if you decide to keep it in the IRA, you can actually self-direct it where you get to pick where it is. You don't have to gamble it in the stock market. You don't have to worry about what happens there. You don't have to worry about whether your financial advisor doesn't make squat. You can actually self-direct it and start creating cash flow, right? Because cash flow is what creates freedom. You can use that to start working for you right now. So I'd love to hear from you. Did you ever do a Roth IRA conversion? Did you like it? Do you feel it was worth it? And if you like this video, check out, is your Roth IRA in danger? Because it could be. So check that out.